Ladies and gentlemen, we had to get a little bit more room in the press box because big number 55 is joining us, big Alex Emery. And big man, Alex, how big are you?
6'4", 300.
6'4", 300. That's a nice-sized young man. That's a big young man. I don't see how those guys move you out there. And I see them all the time. They try to put 2 or 3 guys to move you out, and they have a hard time moving you out. But the hard-fought football game tonight, you're one of those guys that Coach Hasley talks about all the time. You play on both sides of the ball. You hardly ever get a break. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about your ankle. You taped up. You had a little ankle injury. You came up. You didn't come out of the game. Tell us about the ankle and what's going on there.
Oh, someone just landed on it wrong. It was just taped it up. It'd be fine.
You be ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Put it in a little whirlpool, a little ice, and maybe whatever you got to do this week. But talk a little bit about the ball game tonight. And you talk about we all get a little nervous and a lot of penalties in the game. But the Hounds hung. We were the better team, but it just took us a little while to show that. But just talk a little bit about the game in general.
Well, Coach wanted us all to stay, focused and positive. And when one thing didn't really go our way, we kind of shut ourselves down, but towards the end we finally figured out how to do it and how to overcome everything.
Yeah, well, we played a big football game last week. Tell me kind of a little bit about as a senior and last week's football game. Big conference championship game, and we come up a little short. Played a great second half. What was the feeling all this week among you guys coming in and practice? How'd practice go? Kind of tell me about the week in practice.
We just had to move forward.
There you go. There you go.
We knew, Coach actually said, it was a new season, playoffs.
It is. He often talks about the first 3 games, and he talks about the conference season and the playoffs. And it was a big victory for us tonight, no doubt. And it looks like that the Hounds are going to get a chance to play McGee. I'll talk a little bit more about McGee here in just a little bit, but I want to ask you.
Revenge.
A little revenge game, isn't it? Little revenge game. You're out there most all the time. Which is better for you? Which you like better, offense or defense?
I like offense.
Why do you like offense better?
Oh, there's just something about you blocking the guy, not making the tackle, stopping the guy from doing what they're trying to do.
Yeah. But I was playing a long time ago. Okay, and I tell most anybody that interview up here that I was a linebacker and an offensive tackle, which is an unusual combination.
Really?
That's an unusual combination, being an offensive tackle and a linebacker. But I could run a little bit. But I enjoyed offense better. I made tackles, but I'm like you. I like hitting that guy and driving him off that line of scrimmage and controlling him. And if I pancaked him good, and when we scored a touchdown, I always knew because I was up there blocking. Offensive linemen have to do that, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Get a good feeling when you get a big run and they score. And got to ask you this, Alex, you're a senior, and tell me about school, what you like in school, what you might have planned to do after, high school graduation.
Well, I pretty much have all my credits now, but I just got to have a math and English, and I should be good.
Okay. Anything on maybe a college football a career? Anything talking to anybody about possibly playing?
Yeah, I've thought about it. There's quite a few people looking at me, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, when that time comes, you'll know, and there's no doubt that you could continue and you can play on the next level. There's no doubt about that. You're a dandy. And I'll talk a little bit about McGee. You talk about revenge. Talk a little bit about last year's game. And sick feeling, I guess?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, we knew we should have won. We should have beat them. It was just mistakes on our end, and we'll be ready for them next week.
We'll be ready. And talk a little bit about the preparation that you think we'll have this week. What will – Coach, he's pretty solid every week. How's the preparation going to be this week?
We'll just have to stay focused, stay humble and hungry, and stay positive.
You bet. Alex Emery, I'm proud of you, my friend. Big Alex Emery, number 55 in your program, number 1 in your heart. And Benny Smith and Bull, we want you to know we got the player of the game right here. George Kell Motor Company, player of the game. Big Alex Emery, number 55. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I don't know if I mentioned that was George Kell Motor Company play the game. I think I did. The Subway Coaches Report with Coach Mark Hasley. We visited for about 10 minutes, and we've come up with a lot of adjectives to describe the game, and strange is one of them.
Strange. Weird.
Weird.
Awkward at times, yeah.
Different. Hounds win the football game 35-0, and you go, it was a lot closer than that. But then again, we had a couple of times where we maybe should have had a couple of touchdowns where it wouldn't have been nearly as close as what it was. It's a victory for the Hounds, and the Hounds are going to round 2.
And at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a victory, and we're going to round 2. And it's just one of those games that we're going to look back on for the next few days and just like unbelievable things that happened. But I'll say this about our kids: they earned everything they got tonight.
Yeah.
And when you see that makes you feel good about our kids. And there was times we lost our composure, but for the most part, we had decent awareness. We composed ourselves. We earned a win tonight.
Well, I want to go back to the ejection. We actually thought one of our kids got ejected, and we did not call that kid's name. We did not call his name, and we just thought, well, he got ejected, and we just said, you just can't do that. It's uncalled for, and then all of a sudden, our kid wasn't ejected.
Yeah.
It was some kid from them, and the official never told anybody.
No, and see, that's what I didn't like about it, because initially they said, they're gone, get them out of here. They're gone, and so to me, that's an ejection. And then all of a sudden, I hear on the sidelines that he's not gone.
Right.
So then that's when I go down here and talk to the white hat. I said, now, wait a second. I'm getting conflicting stories here. He's like, their kid's gone, yours isn't. So that's when we call him out and get him back out here. It just, you're right. It was in that situation, there was a lack of communication.
Right.
And all night I felt like there was a lack of communication. But, that was just one of them.
Well, we had you pitch a shutout.
Yeah,
that's solid enough.
In the weirdest way, yeah. But yeah, we did.
Weirdest way, but on a night when offensively we weren't having a lot of success running the football. We got the big 85-yard run, but Cash Forrester almost 400 yards through the air. Offense. Let's talk offense first.
Yeah, when I guess the adjustments that we had to make to throw the ball, what they were doing is they were trying to cap us real quick with their ends.
Right, yeah.
They were playing man on the outside, and they were blitzing a lot. And,
absolutely.
And so, with all those kind of intangibles, it makes it hard when you load the box, set the edge with your ends, and blitz in the middle.
Right.
And that's what was shutting us down. They were just putting more up there than we could block. And then you saw us make the adjustments, start throwing it out quicker.
Sure. Sure.
And that's kind of what blew it wide open as far as the passing game. And I guess Clemmy, who was the leading receiver? Do we know? I mean, it had to be Clemmy, just because
it had a couple of guys over 100. Clemmy was over 100.
Clemmy, JT probably, but I saw a lot of the throws to JT because Clemmy just were trying to get him to that edge.
Right. Yeah.
Edge. And I think that's what it is. We were having tight formations and then getting the ball out to the edge. But I can't say enough about our passing game right now. And McGee better look out.
It all starts with the snap. And the snap, even in the passing game, has got to be good. Yeah. It was exceptional all night long. It was right where it needed to be every time. And then it goes to the offensive line. Then you got to have protection. Then you got to have a good route. Then you got to have a good throw. And then you got to make a catch.
And I'll say this about Gideon. I don't talk enough about Gideon, but that guy, week in, week out, is outmatched a lot of times by size.
Yeah.
And he has a zero in his face all night tonight, and last week, and for still have a consistent snap like that kid's that's hard to do. And so I can't say enough about Gideon. That's just big.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about defense. We talked about that shutout, and these guys had a drive that they kind of got close, and we got a big pick, and then it's such a weird game because normally I can remember a lot of plays that we could talk about, and all I'm thinking about is the officials and what happened.
Y'all are sitting there talking to me about a situation. I'm sitting there going,
yeah,
wait
what
a
was
second.
that?
I got to remember that. I couldn't remember. It's like it's
you don't
weird.
Remember the plays.
It is. It's so strange, but
so many other things that
I know.
We remembered. It was
but
different.
Defensively, and that's what I told them at halftime. I wanted to keep the shutout going, and we made a ton of adjustments on that end too. I mean, going from starting out in zone and then trying to do some one high man, and then we went to straight man, and then we just did so many personnel adjustments and so many just scheme adjustments, and that's what this game was about, is a lot of adjustments.
Right.
Just because they and give them some credit, they did a lot of things different than the film hadn't showed. So, but so that's what it's about, and I'll say that for our coaches. Bradley on the sideline, Coach Smith, Coach McGee up in the box. Then Coach Lowry and Coach Reynolds helping me defensively. I can say that making adjustments and the kids being able to do those adjustments is impressive to me too. So it was a night of adjustments and just a weird night altogether.
You mentioned those guys. Also, you got a great group of guys who are volunteer assistant coaches.
Yes.
That are immensely important to our program.
They do so much. They're very valuable. I can't say how valuable they are, and I thank them all the time just because LeVar White and Rashad Billingsley, they're that energy on the sideline that we desperately need sometimes. They're doing things. Hey, Coach, can we do this with the team? Can we do that with the team? And absolutely. The holding up the helmets on kickoff, and they're always they're playing music. They're staying after. I mean, they're so valuable on
They've
just
been there.
keeping
They've
the kids in it, and I can't. I'll thank them all the time, and I can't thank them enough for what they do.
Well, there's no doubt the Hounds win a big one here. Anytime you can win a game in the playoffs, and we talked about this a couple of times. Sometimes the big team that's supposed to win doesn't win.
Yeah.
I remember back last year we went on the road as a 5 seed and beat a 1 seed and kind of shocked the world. And anyway, I never thought that this ball game was in doubt tonight, but I did know earlier. I thought, golly gee, these guys may be a little bit better than what I thought. And they did some good things, but man, we just hung right around and win the football game 35-0. It's a win in the playoffs, and it gets us to the second round, and that's the most important thing.
And I made that very clear all week. Believe me, that we're playing a 4 seed, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because think back in the
Sure.
in the past year, and so we knew they were going to be. That's why I kept telling everybody would say, "Well, how's Centerpoint?" I said, "Well, they can beat you." They've shown some things where they could give us fits. I mean, you got a 6'8" tight end. I mean, when you just look at that, you think, oh my goodness, But I thought our kids did pretty well after we moved out of zone and shut him down.
I want to look to next Friday night. Hope the crowd. It was a cold night, coldest night of the year, deer hunting weekend. Crowd wasn't as big as what we thought it. We hoped for it to be, but it was loud. But let's look. Let's look to next week. The McGee Owls football game last year that we went down there and seemingly dominated the football game and had the game not well in hand, but we just knew we were going to win the football game, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because we've had so many circle games this year.
Yeah.
We've talked about the McGee or the Piggott game and the Osceola game and the Hoxie game being circle games, and it's so funny that now we have another circle game. And there were so many things like after each one of those losses that we talked about we would change and what we do differently, and McGee was no different because that ended our season. And so I mean there's so many things that we want back from McGee now. It's not even funny. So we've got some motivation, and this group should be hungry for McGee.
Well, I like this team. I really like this team. I like the grit. I saw your citywide pep rally post on Facebook last night of just grit. And we talk about grit.
And they are.
Yeah.
And they are. And I say it so much, but it's the truth. I mean, this is a gritty group, and I just feel like in every game we're there. We're in it.
Well, the Hounds are going to play McGee here at home next week. We ask you, crowd, to come join us, come support our kids. Our kids are fighting for our community. They're fighting for our school. They're fighting for all of us out there that are Greyhound fans. And I'm looking forward to the challenge that lies ahead for this team. And I think it'll be a great run for the Hounds. It's Mark Hansley. This is the Subway Coaches Report, and congratulations to Coach Mark. Sir. And that's 1-0 in the playoffs this year, my friend. Newport Greyhounds win it 35-0. Until next time, David Black and Mark Hansley, and Go Hounds.